The first thing when I wake up in the morning, I had some thoughts. As I get out of bed, walk through the hall, and looked at the front view window to experience how much hard work I've been doing. And that's when you look down and got you thinking, how on earth did you clear up the entire driveway so fast without any mercy? Well, I'm glad you asked. Now, if you're not a New Englander, you might not have an idea how often snow falls at its peak, more likely an average, close to 2 feet of snow throughout the last generation, unlike Alaska, for example, and besides Florida, except from 1977 to 2018. Rarely. Still, I can't guarantee good numbers every time. Now, without any further ado, I bundle myself up and go straight to work. When you're going out snow grounded, it is really important to keep your feet warm and protected at all times from frostbites and usually slipping or tripping. It all depends on what kind of footwear fits you the best. I used to wear Timberlands for my wide feet and for style, but for some reason it usually hurts when the outsoles of each boot gets a bit too heavy. So I prefer lightweight next time. Okay, so here's where the first era of winter abilities come in. And that's machinery. Shooting out snow to the other side. Which I can't say, but it's already malfunctioned for a long time. Meaning it is time for a physical solution. And luckily, this snow turns out to be soft. Then if you think you'll be plowed down your side, you would be manipulating over your efforts. Besides the opposite side. So once you've done your shoveling work, you realize that out of nowhere, you don't have a shoe rack or anything to set your footwear like boots to dry with without messing around the entire house. Imagine no compartment, no drawer, or at least anywhere. And no matter what you could find to melt away or try to debris free, you're just stranded here. The foyer that examines your questioning desires. It's thoughts of the only solution in the inside that cleanses society on the outside on a freezing, crazing, frightening, whitening, non-stopping snow. And I'm sure that's not how it usually happens back then, but know for sure that they have to be stored in one dry spot at all times. I'm not so sure if I can be able to get a shoe rack out of something that I can't afford. There has to be a catch. Until you guys kinda hit me. Hardly.
Where'd that come from?
Really, I'm desperate. And that got me thinking of a material that's structuring and useful like a piece of wood that could be mind-setting enough to make a shoe rack out of it. Which gives me an idea. Sorry, that's my Apple Watch. But why just one piece of it? Why not many? Or is there? As I symbolize this piece of wood as a tracking device to a certain pile where it actually belongs. As I'm trailing myself to its unrealistic destination, I can tell you, You can also find anything that's constructive at home as methods to construct. A door opener. To hot lever door open doors. Wood chop to hot cut wood chop wood. Or metal welder to hot glue metal weld metal. But I'd rather stick with wood studs as I found a box of scrap wood right here. No, sorry. Right here. A pile of creation that fits your budget out of this world of a lifetime. And somehow I kind of might not trust the reliability of any wood that would make a proper build. And I apologize that everything is kind of a bit pure darkness. So I thought I'd bring it to the best spotlight I can find. And so out of a pile, I picked up a few that might match the measurements of the legs and the holding of each footwear. And get straight to the build. Now if you're going to build your own shoe rack for your boots, or let's say any other footwear, you'll need to get the proper tools and materials, like being sure you get the right screws to fit the drill bit. You may have your own ways, but my ways of doing might bring us to a next error, and that's building the shoe rack properly. And I'm not so sure that I'll be able to build it right in terms of doing so without even cutting or matching any kind of measurements. But I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. So the first thing I did is to make sure that each piece of stud is set in place and to be ready to be in position for it to drill. And it's kind of set in certain ways. And to also determine the right screws to use. Which isn't, because these screws are not long enough, as you can see about how long each stud is, that wouldn't be able to reach further down to the other piece of a stud. Which means I need to find longer screws in order to make sure that each stud will reach each other. So that's a no-no in the short ones. And I'm going to bring everything up to switch for the long ones. And as you can see, it's longer than the shorter one. And it perfectly fits to make sure that one stud will reach another. So without anything further ado, let's get started. I'm going to start with the first bracket to the holding. I should be able to have long screws to get through easily. On the flip side, the screwing part, depending on the type of screws, might not be easy as I thought it would be. As I tried to push it through, and somehow I couldn't be able to push it through as much string as I thought it would be. Even without having any potential. I kind of find it hard that these screws are really hard to screw in, as I kind of want to figure out what kind of screws they are. So I had to go separate ways to drill down the piece itself in order to make sure that it reaches the other end. it turns out it worked well. We just had to give hold to make sure that we drill the other piece straight down. Now for the other part of the holding to drill. And that has to be done with another screw. And somehow things are just running through the same thing. It keeps slipping. It keeps slipping and keeps missing the drill bit fitting.
It's ugly. It's so ugly. I don't know how I'm gonna do this now.
Somehow I get enough of the drilling method, but eventually it's not that easy to find a way to handle it. And fully complete the first bracket. And now for the second bracket on the other side. And yet the same method. Screw into the other piece of stud. And this time this is twice as complicated as I thought. It tends to not push through, it keeps sliding, but I couldn't help trying to push it down to the ground for pressure. So I decided to bring it down to the ground. And drill as I push down to the ground as hard as I can. Now I would have thought that I drilled through already until I found out that something strange and obviously hilarious of what just happened.
Oh. Oh my gosh. I got maneuvered. I had no idea this would happen. No idea.
So I went for another one, and this time I make sure I stay as careful as I can to make sure whether it's the least of the reliability I have to deal with for a small piece. And most importantly, when dealing with pressure of drilling.
I maneuvered again, even the other edge.
Okay, so far so good.
Look what it did. I don't know, what should I do? I'm out of time. These screws are making me so mad right now.
So I went for another one.
Last chance.
And this time I make sure I stay as careful as I can to make sure whether it's the least of the reliability I have to deal with for a small piece. When dealing with pressure
Last chance.
of drilling.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Okay, so far so good.
I did my best. Sorry. I did all I can.
And there you go. Part 1 of the shoe rack complete. Now you might be wondering, I've been disappearing too much as if I tried to drill the screws with that much pressure on the floor. as I brought the entire piece to the other side, to the floor. So I may have made a whole lot of a mess on this upstairs table, so I decided to bring it upstairs to the floor. The obvious choice I had is a carpet, so I should be able to get through the last part easily. Without backing down my opportunities of fixing alike. So I'm up for the first leg, and to be sure that I'll be able to get the same measurements for each leg, as it may be able to stand at level properly.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
And somehow doing the first drill is kind of a nightmare.
Wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw it like that, but
it seems as if every time I keep complaining about some tools that wouldn't be able to work properly or somehow wouldn't be able to function properly,
that screw is gone.
It may have turned out that the entire project might have come to a halt until we find out solutions. Until then, with a whole lot of effort that I've been drilling out of, this is what I came up with. And it's done in a kind of way. I mean, you could see it as a shoe rack, but until it's kind of unfinished. I might put it that way. And by the way, after all this drilling that brought up heat in a certain way, the drill bit kind of got cut off and got trimmed, like, badly.
So this is what the drill did to the screws. But this is what the screws did to the drill bit.
And that kind of explains why these kind of screws are really messed up. And somehow I'm just doing it in a certain way of taking pieces of wood from a scrap pile.
That's horrendous. This is terrible. I would recommend these screws, guys. They're terrible. They're useless of their ability.
Which is kind of normal. Which means it's not really kind of a perfect project. And I guess it's ready for it to be used with. So let's give it a test and to see if it'll be a perfect compartment for the footwear itself. And so here it is, set and ready in the garage for any other footwear to put on. It can literally fit 2 or 3, who knows. Actually, I almost forgot one thing. This might go without believing, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't know. Maybe I didn't think of making it before I have one. Maybe I haven't asked permission for borrowing some wood. And after all that hard work of suffering screws, it looks to me, I may take a lot of regrets in this one. Which is honestly overwhelming.
So I did all this for nothing. All this for nothing. After all that drip bit melting, I made all this for nothing. Yeah, a total waste of time. How pathetic! See? Even the quality of the wood material, it's also pathetic. What did I even do to make this video? So unnecessary.
So, word of advice once again, if you're going to be creative of anything you'll try to make, then make it on your ways of planning before you think of dealing with perfection. or else the dreams of your talents will perish as long as I'm around. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this. After all, I've wasted so much time making a video of building a Shrek for nothing.